Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on Bitcoin because, as you can see, Bitcoin currently finds itself trading around $4,135 and a bit of change. Because over the last 24 hours or so, Bitcoin has managed to actually break a key resistance level at $4,100, one that we've been discussing for quite a few days here on the channel. And I've been talking about the potential for Bitcoin to break this level, and if Bitcoin does, in fact, break $4,100, then Bitcoin would be entering a state of major bullishness, and that I would be looking for the potential for Bitcoin to be continuing on a new rally, bringing it up to price targets somewhere close to $4,500 or so. Bitcoin has finally laid the foundations for a new bullish rally here after breaking through this level, and this might be the beginning of something big. So we're going to be diving into that in today's video and determining whether or not this is the beginning of a major rally for Bitcoin, or perhaps the end of one, because there is a pretty strong argument for both of those cases. We're going to be discussing all of that and more in today's video, guys. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing that notification bell, guys. But without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. As I said, Bitcoin is currently trading around $4,135 exactly at the time of saying that. And over the last 24 hours or so, moving on into Monday here, Bitcoin has actually managed to breach $4,100. And I mentioned Monday because a lot of times people will, rightfully so I might add, knock out some of the weekend price action. A lot of this price action right in here, sometimes you'll get knocked out on a chart. As you guys may know, there's a big YouTuber named Alessio Rastani, and a lot of times he works on charts that don't actually include weekend price data. And there's a good reason for that, because a lot of times things that happen over the weekend don't carry as much significance as things that happen during the week. And the reason for that is mostly because during the weekend, people are doing stuff that doesn't have to do with the market. They're out with their family, or they're on a vacation, or they're watching YouTube videos. Who knows? They're a lot of times not working in the markets as much, and bots are the ones that are working in the market, so the technical analysis might be a little less valid. Now, I do use the daily chart for all of the price data. I do include the weekends because a lot of times there is valid stuff inside of there, but I did want to mention that because I've never really talked about it on the channel, and it is a somewhat valid way to look at the chart, in my opinion anyway. But I also mentioned that because this move did not happen on Sunday, it happened on Monday, which means that a lot of this movement was actually being witnessed and perhaps driven by human traders rather than bot traders. And that's something you want to understand, is who is moving the market, why they're moving the market in the way that they are, because of course, guys, cryptocurrency markets and any markets in general are just a major game of human and technological, at this point, psychology, trying to understand why bots move the market in the way they do, why humans do what they do in the market. Because when you have a better understanding of why the market did what it did, you have a better understanding of what the market will do next. You can use it as a predictive tool, of course. And the thing that I really like here is that Bitcoin has moved above $4,100, and that's a very major level of resistance that I've been discussing here on the channel for quite some time. And there's a couple more that we've just recently I almost said broached, that we have recently broached. I meant to say breached, but I guess broached is a new word now, that Bitcoin has just recently broached. A couple of those would be, of course, this longer-term downtrend of resistance that Bitcoin has been under for pretty much the entire year. Bitcoin broke above that last night. That is a very major move as well. And Bitcoin, of course, also broke $4,100 as we've talked about. $4,100 isn't an exact level of resistance, so it is kind of a zone. So we are still kind of in the zone of that resistance. I'd like to see Bitcoin move up another $100 or so before I'm really strongly bullish. But you guys know I've been talking about bearish scenarios for a while, and in a video a couple days ago, I mentioned how if Bitcoin breaks $4,100, I'll probably start moving towards more bullishness than bearishness. And right now I am on Team Bull, at least for the time being. We're going to see what actually plays out over the next couple of days and how bullish Bitcoin can go. Because like I said, and like we'll be discussing in a little bit, there is still a decent argument for the bears saying that we're maxing out on a rally. We'll discuss that here in a second. But the thing I'm talking about here now is that Bitcoin is breaking levels of resistance being defined by these tops back up over here in the last couple of months. Bitcoin has rallied to this level multiple times, and Bitcoin has come up there several times and actually gotten resistance at it. So we need to be careful of that. Just because Bitcoin is breaking resistance at the moment, it's above $4,100, it's above this downtrend of resistance, does not mean that we're out of the woods yet. We're still under one level of resistance. We're under this uptrending level of resistance. We're still in this trading channel. And this is the thing I was talking about with the bearish scenario. If Bitcoin does get resistance here and does get rejected here, we're probably going to start moving back down towards the downside, especially considering we've been moving to the upside for so long here. And that will show up in things like the RSI, the stochastic RSI. Bitcoin is sitting up here in overbought territories on the 4-hourly, and I believe on the daily chart we've been moving to the upside anyway. We're not in overbought territory just yet. Well, excuse me, yes we are. Bitcoin is actually quite a bit further up than I remember it, but Bitcoin is up here around 70 on the overbought scale. on the overbought side of the RSI out here on the daily chart, because Bitcoin's been moving to the upside for so long, and I kind of expected that. A similar thing is true for the stochastic RSI, and a similar thing is likewise true for the weekly stochastic RSI, a very important technical indicator that you guys know I've been discussing pretty much ever since it came to my attention about a month ago or so. This is an important indicator of a potential bearish rally in Bitcoin. Now, those are very bearish signs for Bitcoin, and those are still things that we want to take into consideration. We want to keep in mind that Bitcoin does have bearish technicals behind it at the moment, and those bearish technicals probably will cause some kind of retracement in the next week or so. But the question really isn't when that retracement is going to come, because of course it is going to come. The question is, how much bullishness can Bitcoin exert, and how far to the upside can Bitcoin move before we see that inevitable downtrend? Because of course, guys, we know I've talked about it at length for many months, over a year now. Of course, the channel is old at this point, getting older at this point. Bitcoin is a cyclical market. All markets are cyclical. They move up, and then after a little while, they're going to start moving down. And when they're done moving down, they're going to start moving up. And the same thing is obviously true on any time frame you look at it, especially this one right here. So even though Bitcoin's moving to the upside, we are probably going to see some kind of downtrend starting in the next week or two. But I do think that there's room for bullishness before that starts, and that's what we're really here to talk about. How far is Bitcoin going to move before that hits? Well, guys, there's a couple levels of resistance that we obviously want to look at. One of them, of course, being $4,500. That is going to be a major level of resistance. And then also, depending on how you draw this longer-term downtrend here, you could say that we're currently getting resistance on it, and you can draw it several different ways. If you come back here and you draw this something like this, I've seen people draw this downtrending level of resistance like that before. That's not exactly the greatest way to draw it, in my opinion, but if you do draw it that way, then Bitcoin does see that as a level of resistance around $4,200 to $4,100, depending on when we actually hit that level right over here. You guys know that there's a lot of resistance above Bitcoin. This zone of resistance right here is one that Bitcoin has not been able to punch through in the last couple of months. It hasn't been above that level ever since Bitcoin fell below it in late 2018. Bitcoin has not been above $4,500 since we initially fell down to these price levels. And if Bitcoin does manage to get above there, that would be a very bullish sign for Bitcoin and would likely see Bitcoin rally all the way back up to $6,000. But that is going to be a very hard feat, and I'm not quite sure that Bitcoin is ready for it. So while I am more bullish on Bitcoin in the short term than I have been for quite some time, I am still cognizant of the fact that Bitcoin has been rallying here for quite some time, is overdue for a correction based on the technicals, and is unlikely to be rallying all the way up to $6,000, especially considering how long we've been rallying, and especially considering that rally has not been very steep. It's been a very slow, longer-term bullish grind. Now, with all that said, what is Bitcoin going to look like over the next couple of days here? Where is Bitcoin going? Well, guys, Bitcoin is currently rallying to the upside, and you have to keep that in mind. Even if there are a lot of those bearish technicals, Bitcoin, even at the time of recording this, is moving to the upside. If we come down here to the minute chart, I'm recording this at 10:05 Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time, whatever, the Eastern Time. Bitcoin is currently moving to the upside right now, and has been all morning. And that is probably going to continue, at least for a little while. Bitcoin, like I said, is currently testing this uptrend of resistance. If Bitcoin breaks through that, then Bitcoin is likely going to see a very major bullish rally come from that, because that's a major level of resistance that Bitcoin has not managed to break for the entirety of its existence. Bitcoin wants to get above this, and Bitcoin is currently testing it. If Bitcoin gets above this, I could see Bitcoin rallying all the way to $4,200, perhaps even further than that, depending on what kind of bullishness we see. One thing I want to mention to you guys is that a lot of times, I'm going to use an example that I used in yesterday's video for this. A lot of times when you see a market come and test a level of resistance over and over and over again, you don't really get a good feel for how strong the bulls or the bears are, depending on whether it's support or resistance, of course. You don't really get a good feel for how strong they are until after you've broken a major level of resistance. Right over here, after you break a major level of resistance, that's when you get that period of clairvoyance, and you really start to understand how strong the bulls actually are. Because when Bitcoin is coming up here and testing resistance over and over and over again, you guys know Bitcoin tested this level of resistance something like 12 times before it finally broke it. You don't really know how strong the bulls are in here. And that's something we talk about in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. A couple of you guys have joined that yesterday. Bitcoin, you don't really understand just how strong the bulls and the bears are in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. In Bitcoin, you don't really understand how strong they are until certain moments of clairvoyance. And one of those moments of clairvoyance is after a breakout. Because if you see Bitcoin break a major level of resistance that it's been hitting its head against, and Bitcoin moves $5, well, Bitcoin's probably not that strong. But if Bitcoin breaks that level and moves $1,000 like it did back over here, then, well, you can argue that Bitcoin is rather strong at that moment. And Bitcoin was, in fact, rather strong back over here. In fact, so strong that people thought that Bitcoin was moving into a new bull market at the time. time. But Bitcoin, of course, didn't. Bitcoin started moving to the downside, and we saw that there was a lot of bearishness building in the market. And in a similar way, we didn't really know how much bearishness there was in the market when Bitcoin was coming down here asymptotically moving towards $6,000 until it broke it. We didn't realize during all this time just how much bearishness was in the market until Bitcoin broke $6,000 and lost half of its valuation. Now, of course, part of that movement will come from the bearishness put into the market from the break itself, but also the break causes a bit of clairvoyance where you really understand just how strong the market is and just how powerful those bears are. So the point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of times you don't realize just how strong or weak a market is until just after a breakout. A lot of times you'll have a very good understanding of how strong those bulls or bears are after that breakout has occurred. So today, if Bitcoin does break this uptrend of resistance, which there's a pretty good chance it does, if Bitcoin breaks this and Bitcoin moves $10 and then starts falling back over, then we know that Bitcoin is not very bullish and a new downtrend will likely be forming relatively soon. But if Bitcoin breaks this level of resistance and starts moving to the upside in a very major way, we start getting propelled like a rocket ship up towards $4,500, then we know that there is a lot of bullishness in Bitcoin. Guys, it's a really good thing to do to look at the market as a war between the bulls and the bears. The bulls and the bears have their supply lines, the fundamentals, they have their troop count, they have their leadership, yada, yada, yada. They have everything, and you have to analyze what the bulls and the bears have on their side. What kind of advantages do they have? What kind of disadvantages do they have? What technicals, to be more concrete in our examples here, what technicals and fundamentals do they have on their side? And one of the ways that you can really get a good understanding of which side is stronger is wait for a breakout. And after that breakout occurs, then you can see how strong and how much use the Bitcoin bulls or the bears are able to get out of that breakout. Because when you have a breakout, there's a couple candlesticks of just freedom where the bulls or the bears respectively are able to do whatever they want with the market. And that's why you normally see a little bit of clairvoyance. I know I've said that word like 10 times in this video, but that's normally why you're able to see what the market is doing and see how strong the bulls or the bears are in that precise moment. So guys, my homework for you today is to watch the market, see if Bitcoin breaks this level of resistance, see if it breaks this uptrend of resistance, and see if Bitcoin breaks it in a very bullish way or if Bitcoin breaks it in a not so bullish way. If Bitcoin rallies $100 or $10, or if Bitcoin doesn't even get above it in the first place. If Bitcoin comes up here and starts testing this as a level of resistance over and over, that might be a sign of longer term bearishness. But of course, guys, we will analyze that more when the time comes. If Bitcoin's still below this uptrend of resistance in tomorrow's video, we'll definitely have to talk about a potential downtrend starting. But based on the way Bitcoin has been moving, I think there's a pretty decent chance that Bitcoin is going to break that uptrend of resistance and start moving to the upside in today's video. But guys, as I make these predictions, I want to always remind you, always be protected, always use stop losses, even if you're 99% sure that the market is going to do one thing. If you think it's going to move to the upside, always make sure you're using your stop losses and are prepared for if the market does something that you don't expect, because our technical analysis is very good. Technical analysis can do a lot of good for you. It's a very strong and one of the most accurate predictive tools for markets, but it is not perfect. It is not a crystal ball, and you will never have a 100% perfect prediction. It simply won't happen. So make sure you're always protecting yourself, guys. I think you guys get my point. But anyway, guys, this is going to be the first of 2 videos today. I have another video going up later in today's on today's roster, so watch out for that. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, definitely make sure you drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and smash that notification bell, guys. And if you're interested in learning anything about Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, really learning just about everything about cryptocurrency technical analysis, I just said Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. If you're interested in learning about Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, there's a link to do so in the description down below, guys. You know, the course helps me to be able to financially justify all the work I do here on YouTube. I do really enjoy it, of course. It is a passion of mine, but of course, you have to be able to financially justify some of these things that take so much time. So that is why I made the course. And I also made the course because I wanted to give you guys a resource where you could go and learn more about technical analysis than just what you could gather from these videos. And like I've said in many videos, the hundreds of people that have gone through the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy are all in love with the content. They tell me so over email, the comments in the course, the Discord server, in the comment section. People tell me all the time how much they're enjoying the content, and they're enjoying it for a good reason, in my opinion. If you're interested in checking out CT2A, there is a link at the top of the description. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.